Welcome into PFT OT. This is the post-PFT Live show that Chris Simms and I do every day to talk about things that we either didn't get to during PFT Live or things we would just like to talk more about. And we could talk all day about the news of the day from Tuesday night, the Odell Beckham Jr. trade. It's going to resonate into Wednesday and beyond. Chris, one angle here, and this was mentioned last night by Ian Rappaport of NFL Media on Twitter. Now that Beckham has been traded to Cleveland, once it's official, Beckham is going to want an adjustment to his contract, similar to what happened for Antonio Brown. If you're the Browns, do you give in? And if you're Beckham, how hard do you push for it?
Yeah, I don't think it's bad to push for it. I mean, you're going to take a little backlash. But again, here is something, hey, he made an agreement with the Giants. They signed a contract. He's on the Giants, and now they're shipping him out. They didn't ask him if he wanted to be shipped out or anything like that. So his only power play here, too, is to ask for more money or be disgruntled that way if he didn't want to go play for the Cleveland Browns. I hope he does want to go play because I think it's an amazing opportunity with him with the talent that they have there already and Baker Mayfield at quarterback. But I would not be shocked if he asked for a little more money on the back end here at some point to maybe compete or outdo Antonio Brown's contract with the Oakland Raiders. I certainly think he's a better player at this point of their careers than Antonio Brown, so he could justify it in a lot of ways.
He made more than $21 million for only 1 year with the Giants, ultimately only played in 12 games. Moving forward, though, what's left on his contract is 5 years and $77 million. That is $15.4 million per year.
Yeah.
If we only look at those 5 years, that has him behind the likes of Sammy Watkins and Antonio Brown, and it's only going to get worse when Tyreek Hill gets his new contract. Thomas Dimitroff, the Falcons GM, was talking recently about how Julio Jones could end up being the highest paid receiver. Michael Thomas has a new deal coming. So whether it happens now or after the first year, I think Beckham could be clamoring to get an adjustment to his contract because the argument's going to be, hey, Browns, you got a steal here. You don't have to pay me much guaranteed money,
right?
And you're averaging $15.4 million a year for 5 years. This really isn't fair to the player. That's the argument the player could make, and it's a different feel than it was pre-Antonio Brown. Pre-Antonio Brown, hey, you got a contract, you honor it. Now it's like, hey, you know what? If you've got power, go ahead and use it, and maybe you can leverage your way into getting a new contract, even if your contract doesn't give you the leverage to get more money.
No, I mean, yeah, we've talked about this a lot. Star players, this is an avenue they have, or they can certainly explore to get a little bit more money out of the certain situation. And I would say this too. I mean, Odell, he should try it. I mean, with the excitement in Cleveland right now, as far as, oh my gosh, we have Odell Beckham Jr. and everything that's involved with that discussion, I think they would be almost embarrassed, okay, if Odell made that an issue and now the trade doesn't go through or get finalized or anything like that, to where they're kind of put in a corner here where if Odell asks for a little sweetener on top of what he wanted, right? $15 million a year, yeah, give me $3 million more per year, or let me just one-up Antonio Brown. I think the Browns would be very hard-pressed not to kind of listen to those demands and come through for him with that.
And this gets back to that sliding scale we talked about with Antonio Brown. The more you give the team to get the guy, the less you want to pay the player. The more you pay the player, the less you give the team. And you've got a 1, a 3 in Jabril Peppers that has gone to the Giants. How much money do you feel comfortable giving to Odell Beckham Jr.? And I think the Browns, at a minimum, would like to get through this year before figuring it all out. And how they do this year could have a major impact on what they do with Odell Beckham Jr.'s contract moving forward. One thing that will be coming up here before the draft, it usually happens middle of April, the announcement of the NFL's schedule. We know who will be playing where, we just don't know when, and the when is so important, especially as it relates to primetime games. And the Browns already, Chris, were going to be a darling of the primetime schedule. Consider some of the games they play beyond Ravens, Bengals, and Steelers twice per year. They've got the Seahawks at home. They've got the Rams in Cleveland. They go to New England to play the Patriots. They go to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. There are some compelling games that will be played this year by the Cleveland Browns. And I think the over-under on primetime games right now is 4.5. We're going to see a lot of Odell Beckham, Baker Mayfield, Jarvis Landry, Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Freddie Kitchens with his dog pound sweatshirt. We're going to see a lot of that going on under the lights this year.
Yeah, and what is the maximum you can get? What is it? Is it 5 the maximum you can get?
It's 5 or 6,
Right.
or basically they do whatever they want to do, right?
Yep.
But I think it's around 5 or 6. I think it can be 6 under certain circumstances because
Right.
the Cowboys typically end up with 6. But whether it's prime time or whether it's 4:25 p.m. Eastern on
Yes.
Sunday, which draws even bigger audiences than some primetime games, we're going to see the Browns in a lot of these big spots on Sundays, Mondays, and Thursdays.
No question. I mean, you mentioned the division rivalries. They're good enough as is anyways. I mean, Lamar Jackson versus Baker Mayfield, sign me up. I'm going to watch. Ben Roethlisberger versus Baker Mayfield, I'm going to watch. I mean, that's intriguing. But yes, the NFC West, which has not only coaches that are full of personality, but all those teams are kind of making moves too to improve themselves. You got Russell Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo, of course, Goff, McVay, all the star power out there, and then having to play the AFC East with Tom Brady. And hey, let's not forget about the Jets. Sam Darnold was picked 2 picks right after Baker Mayfield. So I expect them to be on to whatever the maximum amount is. I would go with the over in the 4.5. I would say it is 5 for sure. Whether, however they play that out, Sunday night, Monday night, Thursday, whatever it is. But I mean, as I told you, Mike, I'm a Giants fan. I love the Giants. Odell Beckham Jr. and Baker Mayfield are the type of people, though, that are going to attract the fan who's just a football fan, and they're going to go, I'm a Cleveland Browns fan. When I told my little boy who's 8 years old last night that Odell Beckham Jr. was going to the Cleveland Browns, he stated right away, Dad, I'm going to root for the Cleveland Browns this year. I'm sorry. And I was like, that's okay, buddy. You're allowed to do that. You got a Baker Mayfield jersey. That's all good. So that's what kind of move has been made. That's the star power they got there in Cleveland.
It's funny. My niece is a diehard Browns fan. She thought about giving up on them the year they went 0-16. She realized she couldn't. And when I texted her last week to keep an eye on the possibility of Odell Beckham Jr. becoming a Brown, she didn't like it. She was upset. And now she's texting me, woof, woof, and Baker Mayfield gifts and Odell Beckham. She turned just like that. And
right.
I think that's the impact. And it's that simple. Giants fans are pissed. Browns fans are thrilled. This is a good move for the Browns, and it's a good move for the NFL, folks, because the NFL wants to be able to market its product to you, and it wants to have fascinating teams, and it needs to be organic. It can't be forced, and this is organic. I'm excited. I'm legitimately and authentically excited about Browns games this year, and they know that millions of people are going to feel the same way.
No doubt.
All right,
no doubt. Well, one other thing, too, to talk about that, too. I know were people scared that Odell Beckham Jr. might go to Cleveland and make things, a little too, what do you want to say, controversial? Is he that way? Hey, the first thing, you and I have heard this a lot. I mean, players in the locker room in New York, I never heard anyone say anything bad about Odell Beckham Jr. When I would talk to players off the record, it was always positive. That's the one thing. And then to add that into the Cleveland conversation, man, he's with his best friend in Jarvis Landry. I think Jarvis will keep everything status quo or, everything good because of that relationship, so he can be there for him for that. And they have their old LSU wide receivers coach there as well in Cleveland. So I think it's a very good, what do I want to say? A base of people who could maybe talk to Odell Beckham Jr. when he does get into those emotional, I want to win, I want to get the ball a little bit more. He'll have some people that can sit there and words of wisdom into his ear, I guess is what I'm trying to spit out of my mouth.
And let's not undersell Baker Mayfield and the differences between him and Eli Manning.
Right.
All due respect to Eli Manning, Eli Manning is not a natural leader. Baker Mayfield is. And Baker Mayfield, if all else fails, he'll get through to Odell Beckham Jr., and he'll make sure that Beckham does what he's supposed to do, listens to what he's supposed to listen to. Otherwise, he ain't seeing the football. That's what the true swagger-type, natural-born quarterback leader can do in a locker room to get receivers under control if they are beginning to cause a problem.
No question, Mike. Good point.
Speaking of receivers who have caused problems, Antonio Brown's deal with the Raiders, his trade to Oakland, will become official later today. And here's the thing, and this was so bizarre yesterday, Chris. He's still a member of the Steelers. The trade hasn't happened. And here he is on Instagram yesterday with the blonde mustache gone, further proving our belief that this was all a ruse. But saying he's going to the facility to work out with Derek Carr, to meet the coaches. I poked around on this. All he had authorization to do yesterday was go take a physical. The Raiders, man, they are really in. We don't give a crap territory here. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And I don't know what ultimately happened yesterday, but Antonio was ready to go do what needed to be done, what he planned to go do, even if it was more than what he was allowed to do, while he's still a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. It just takes a situation that was already bizarre and makes it even more bizarre, Chris.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, there's a lot to say here. First of all, it seems very Raider-ish to say we don't care. We'll flirt with danger in the NFL. I mean, that's what they are. That's what Al Davis always was. John Gruden's not afraid to kind of tote that line as well, so I'm not shocked by that. It is weird that Antonio Brown wanted to do that day one, make things official, whatever it may be. I think it's another reason why I wish this whole thing would just start at the NFL Combine, and once it happens, it happens. We don't have to wait for a certain date or whatever it may be. I also respect that Antonio Brown wanted to get there so quickly and get work going. I mean, that does speak to the one positive thing you always hear about AB is that legendary work ethic, and there was a great example of, how hungry he is.
Yeah, I agree with that completely, and I think it's going to be okay as long as he can get the football. And if he doesn't, it's all going to come back to Derek Carr. And the sooner they get on the same page, and I think Brown's going to do everything he can to get on the same page with Carr, and hopefully they can make it work. Hopefully Brown can make Carr better.
That's right.
Maybe Carr steps up to this platform and becomes a better quarterback with a better receiver like Antonio Brown there, giving him targets that he can trust. Because I think, and Chris, you know this better than anyone, you were an NFL quarterback. You have to trust that when you throw the football, your guy's going to get it. And when you have a guy like Antonio Brown, it's easier to get that level of trust.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think the point that you're saying about raising the level of Derek Carr and all that, I think that's a very fair point, and people maybe don't talk about that all the time. Yes, Derek Carr's going to have the pressure. He's going to want to please Antonio Brown. That should raise his level. Also, hey, a great star receiver, they can instill confidence in you as a quarterback too. Okay, yes, one, you feel better breaking the huddle when you know you got a guy like Antonio Brown going to split out at wide receiver. But two, hey, if I was throwing to a guy like an Antonio Brown, and hey, good throw, Chris, or good read here, or next time I might run that route, I might do this to the defender and then do that. It makes you feel good as a quarterback. You go, damn, okay, this guy respects me. He's having dialogue with me. He's telling me good throw. Okay, I am pretty good. That's right, I am good. I mean, he can raise the level of confidence Derek Carr has in himself and embolden him more as a leader, too, if he feels like, okay, I got something going here with Antonio Brown. He is in my camp. He's got my back. I might be able to say some things that might be unpopular in the locker room but need to be said as a leader because Antonio's going to be there right behind me going, he's right. The quarterback's right. We should listen to him. Those things can happen, and this could be one of those situations.
On Monday, we saw a couple of safeties agree to terms on contracts that will pay them a lot of money. Landon Collins and Tyrann Mathieu both making $14 million a year. Earl Thomas still available. And with the Browns trading Jabril Peppers to the Giants as part of this OBJ trade, Chris, there's a sense that maybe the Browns' next move is going to be to try to get Earl Thomas to Cleveland. Whether it's Cleveland or somewhere else, where do you think he lands? And is he going to be able to do better than Collins and Mathieu did with their $14 million per year?
Yeah, this is like the mystery of free agency right now. I just have no feel. I haven't heard from anybody as far as what teams are really interested in Earl Thomas. I know we heard the Dallas Cowboy thing, but they certainly seemed like they got out of it in a hurry when they heard the price tag. I heard the same thing with the 49ers last week, that they might be interested. But Earl Thomas asking for $15 million a year, I think is too steep of a price for all teams out there. I think that's one reason we have heard this. And I got a little text before just from somebody I trust in the NFL, Mike, about Earl Thomas in the Cleveland, and I was told it's not going to happen. So, hey, we're certainly going to pay attention to that. But this is someone I trust who's usually on it and told me that is not in the cards right now. So as far as where he goes, Mike, I mean, I don't know what to say at this point. There's plenty of teams with safety needs, that's for sure, but I just don't know if they want to pay a guy in year 9, right, in his career, $15 million a year.
especially with that leg that was broken twice.
Yes.
Twice. And you have to be concerned about that.
Yes,
and you're going
right.
to give your money more likely to guys who come in with a cleaner bill of health.
Have you heard anything? Seriously, other than the Cleveland, right?
No,
I know.
Well, no, here's the thing. I've heard some things, but I'm skeptical of what I'm hearing because of the things we talked about during the show as it relates to agents lying, right? I think there's some effort by the agent to maybe create a market that may not be there. And, the Cowboys are interested unless they aren't, and I don't think they are unless Earl Thomas's number comes way down. But, the agent's trying to build a market. The agent's trying to do his job. I get that. You just have to be careful when you're in the media to not swallow the hook and then pass that BS along to your audience because it hurts your own credibility if you do that. And we saw a lot of that with Le'Veon Bell.
Yep.
All right, last topic. Teddy Bridgewater, free agent, can go anywhere. And the report came out yesterday. He's deciding to stay with the New Orleans Saints. There was a report from NFL media that he turned down a bigger offer with the Dolphins. And then there was another report from NFL media that the Dolphins didn't offer him anything. I mean, if the Dolphins put an offer on the table, you take it, Chris, so you can go play. You at least have a chance to play in Miami. You're not playing anytime soon with the Saints because they have Drew Brees. But, I like Teddy Bridgewater. It's a damn shame what happened to him back in 2016. It's already been almost 3 years since that knee imploded at a practice a few days before the start of the season. But I didn't like what I saw from him last year in Week 17 against the Panthers. There wasn't an opportunity to go play for someone else this year, so he stays put. And some people think he's the heir apparent to Drew Brees. I don't know about you. I think Taysom Hill's got a better shot to be the next quarterback in New Orleans over Teddy Bridgewater.
I don't disagree with you there. I mean, I know that Sean Payton holds Taysom Hill in very high regard, and I'm sure you've heard some of those rumors and things too. But, yeah, this is like his little pet project, Taysom Hill. So I would, as far as just being the guy that maybe takes over for Drew Brees in 2 years or whenever that may be that Drew Brees, walks off into the sunset, if you made me put a bet down right now, I would probably bet on Taysom Hill. Now, I don't think Taysom Hill would be thrown in there this year as a backup quarterback if something happened to Drew Brees and he got injured. But I guess, listen, we don't know for sure what the Miami situation was. Let's assume that there was a contract on the table to go play for the Dolphins. I think if that is the case, I think what Teddy Bridgewater is going to, he's going, wait, I don't know what Miami's going to do. They might draft a quarterback still in the first round, so I don't know about that. They're kind of in a rebuild mode down there. There's a lot of unknowns. I think he would have basically said, you know what, I'll stay with the known. Sean Payton, the Saints, they seem to like me. I've made a little niche for myself in the locker room. And if the quarterback does get hurt and I get to play, I got a pretty good supporting cast around here in New Orleans that can make me look good to maybe one day I do get that contract to go play for another team.
Yeah, we keep thinking that Teddy Bridgewater is inevitably going to get a chance to start again. But, last year he didn't. He ended up with the Jets until they drafted Sam Darnold and they traded him to the Saints. And I think, number one, there's no opportunity out there for him now, or he would have taken it. Number two, I don't think the opportunity is going to be there in New Orleans unless they go with a hybrid where they have two basically starting quarterbacks where Bridgewater's on the field some, Taysom Hill's on the field some, and you can see it kind of maybe moving in that direction. The fact that you would use Taysom Hill at all as a quarterback when you have Drew Brees is kind of surprising. Maybe eventually it'll be. If Sean Payton stays, and that's not a given because he could be coaching the Cowboys next year at this time, but if he stays, maybe we could see Bridgewater and Hill being used in maybe equal doses.
Who knows with Sean? I mean, you're right. I mean, yeah, they're doing stuff this year or this past year that we probably would have never guessed they would have done anyways. So, yes, I think all possibilities are on the table. And let's not forget, we know that the Saints loved Patrick Mahomes coming out in the draft 2-3 years ago anyways. So their mind is there on the quarterback situation. I think they're just trying to figure out the right time or who it may be that's going to be that heir apparent. And they're going to have to figure that out probably by the end of next year.
I wonder what Sean thinks about Kyler Murray, although that's probably too far for them to move to go all the way up to number one if they want to get him. All right, thanks as always for joining us for PFT OT, another edition of PFT Live tomorrow. Chris Simms Unbuttoned is today, Wednesday. There's a new Chris Simms Unbuttoned today. We did the joint PFT PM Unbuttoned podcast yesterday. Just don't let any kids in the room because we did drop a few F-bombs or 25 of them by the time it was all said and done. But plenty of things for you to choose from here at PFT. We'll see you tomorrow morning for PFT Live, but all day long at ProFootballTalk.com. Chris, get your phone out, get your laptop out. You need to be mashing on your refresh button. We're going to have we'll have, even with all these deals that we think are done, we're going to have a ton of news throughout the day. Don't miss any of it.
I'm on it, Mike. I'm on it. I don't like you, but I like your website a whole lot. It's damn good.
Thanks a lot. I'll take it. I'll take it. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.